It's time for another episode of Rainmaker for Contractors. Interviews and success stories with million-dollar-plus basement waterproofing and foundation repair owners. Discover how they market and grow their companies in today's economy. Hear directly from the most successful leaders in your industry. With your host and Rainmaker for Contractors owner, Bill Crawford.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm really excited to interview today's guest, Matthew Lyons from Disaster Blaster. Matthew, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here. You have such an interesting business model that I look forward to exploring it with you. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Disaster Blaster and where you're at?
Sure. So I've been in the restoration industry for about 28 years. Disaster Blaster, I founded with my father about 18 years ago, primarily as a restoration business that branched into additional services such as asbestos abatement, radon mitigation, basement waterproofing, things like that. So we're truly a full service firm now.
That's awesome. Now, the basement waterproofing aspect, of course, got my interest. Can you say a bit about basement waterproofing? Like, how did you get into the basement waterproofing services?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things that we always look at when we're addressing an issue with for a property owner or a customer is we want to fully address that issue so that they're not going to need us again, in a year or what have you. And we do a lot of mold remediation projects, and a lot of that is caused by moisture intrusion in basements, humidity problems, things of that nature. So that's how we initially got into the basement waterproofing as a service. About 5 or 6 years ago, we launched that more so that we could say, okay, we'll address your mold problem, but this is what's causing it. So let's fix that too. And it's worked out really, really well because we're now, truly solving their problems for them. We would prefer to not have, a recurring customer that has a mold problem. They shouldn't need us again.
For sure. You said something that got my attention. You mentioned moisture and air. And, in the waterproofing industry, there's some people that just kind of, what we say in the extreme of just kind of selling to the water. So, hey, you have water coming in one wall. We'll just take care of that one wall. But we know how a foundation is built, and it's in a clay bowl, and the water comes, wherever it wants to come in, quite honestly. And then on the other side, there's people that will kind of do the whole system and not just address the water, but address the moisture, which is really the cause of things like mold, dry rot, bugs, and rust, and so on. And they'll help do something with the air. I'm curious, what's a complete solution that you could offer a customer when they have basement waterproofing problems?
Well, I think one of the really important things with basement waterproofing is not all properties need the same solution. So everything needs to be tailored to what's actually occurring at that property and what's necessary to prevent or address the moisture issue there. So we have we do weep systems. We install sump pumps and dehumidification systems. Whatever is necessary for that property. In northeastern Pennsylvania, where we're located, we actually have a lot of stone foundations. So obviously, a weep system is not going to be sufficient there. Or effective in any way. So we have to kind of, address more the humidity needs and diversion of some of the water that's coming in, those sorts of things.
Sure, for sure. So I'm looking at your website, and so many other services like water drying and mitigation, asbestos, meth lab cleanup. I bet that's an interesting one. Duct cleaning, mold remediation, biohazard cleanup, radon, infectious disease disinfection, home check, smoke and fire. That's a lot of stuff going on there. I find it a little bit intriguing because at this time of the year, we're kind of in the middle of November. Certainly in the northern states, winter setting in, leads tend to not come in as much because of less rain and frozen ground and so on. What are some of, I think I just rattled off maybe 10 different services. What are some of the more common services that you run? Like what's more popular on this with this?
Our three top services are the water mitigation, the mold remediation, and the basement waterproofing. We do, because Northeastern PA is such a hotbed for it, we do also do a lot of radon mitigation as well. But a lot of our services, they build upon each other very well. So the skill set is relatively similar. The equipment needs are similar. And it allows us to provide our end customer with a much greater value because we're able to solve a lot more issues for them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what works for you with like lead generation? What are your more common sources? And by the way, I realize you do like residential and commercial. Is that true?
We do.
Yep, you're connected with the real estate industry and as well as insurance claims.
Yeah, so we do a lot of insurance claim work. We do a lot of work for realty transactions. Our breadth of services is great because, with real estate, I can effectively say, pretty much if the home inspector finds something, we have a solution for it. If there's really no reason why we can't, get the seller and the buyer to a closing, because, we can get those problems addressed. We do a lot of direct to consumer services, the duct cleaning, the mold remediation, the basement waterproofing. Our marketing is a lot website, web, social media marketing, SEO. A lot of those sorts of things, and a lot of referrals, just because of the nature of our business and the number of people that we've made happy over the years. So we're very fortunate to be in a situation like that.
Being in marketing, I look at all these services and wow, like there's just a gold mine here. I'm curious all right, so let's say, someone doesn't know who you are at all. They go to the internet, they need mold remediation, they look you up, they end up hiring you. You do a great job for them, you like them, they like you. But there's 10 other services that you could do for them down the road. Like, how do you kind of try to stay in front of these people?
So we certainly make sure that they're aware of the services that we need. Often when a past customer comes across another issue, they do reach out to us and we can get that taken care of for them. A lot of our ongoing marketing is directed through our social media. So most of our customers end up following us. So then they have, regular reminders of the different things that we do. A lot of tips and information. I kind of view it as, education first marketing as far as approach is concerned, because I prefer to inform and educate than, constantly hit them over the head with marketing. So we try to give them valuable information.
Awesome. That saying, it's always less expensive to sell an existing customer something new versus find a new customer and build a relationship. So yeah, you have quite a lot to work with. I'm just curious, what kind of database do you store this customer information in?
So we've developed a proprietary software that manages our offices. So our franchisees get access to all of that as well. So it handles everything from their customer management, their sales and marketing, scheduling, all of the job management, billing, everything's all in one place.
Awesome. Nice job. Nice job. And
Thank you.
That's no easy task to take up, and then to stay current with all the technology. So it's kind of a lot. What are you doing for customer reviews? How do you get them? Is this something that your company really values?
So we absolutely, every customer completes a survey form so that we can track internally how we're doing on every project, and then we do reach out to customers regularly when we're completing a project to ask them for reviews as well. I do absolutely value the input and feedback from our customers, and I think that any business should. It's an important part of the service industry specifically.
For sure. Okay. Oh, you are in Scranton, correct? That's where The Office was filmed. I think everyone has seen
Yes.
that episode of The Office because of COVID. You get asked about that?
We do. We actually had for a couple of seasons, Disaster Blaster had a magnet on the fridge in the break room on The Office, the TV show.
Wow.
So, we actually yeah. So we actually have fans that reach out to us now to request a magnet for their fridge. So we to this day we still get those calls.
How did you get your magnet into The Office? Is that an accident? You just saw it there?
So when The Office was running in Scranton, they really wanted to have a local presence and local representation. So I mean, when you watch The Office and they mention a restaurant or something, that's the restaurant that's actually in our area. And so they would actually do every year an event at a local mall here. Where businesses would be able to bring things in, and then maybe it would show up somewhere, on the set. So we were very, very fortunate to have been selected for inclusion, and we love the show, and we certainly, we love seeing our magnet there.
Little magnet, wow, on The Office, and it gives you a conversation piece, no doubt. Like when you're in homes and so on, you probably say like, "Hey,
Absolutely.
let me put my magnet right on your refrigerator." I love that.
Yep.
So you mentioned, all right, one thing I want to comment on. I know you're in business with your dad. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
A couple clients that have done that over the years. What's that like?
It's we haven't killed each other yet. It's we've been in business for a long time. Prior to founding Disaster Blaster together about 18 years ago, we actually operated two independent restoration businesses. So we both had a lot of experience doing that, and we really thought that coming together and doing something together would really be beneficial to both of us. That's at that time I revamped our marketing, I revamped our branding. I got a lot more involved in those sorts of elements. That's when we invested in our own software and different things like that. So it allowed us to scale our business much better than we would have been able to independently. And now with the franchising, being able to do that together, it's a lot of after 18 years, we've kind of hit our stride. We understand each other a little bit better than we did year one. So it's a lot of fun to work with them on that.
I bet. Hey, how did you become president and he got vice president?
When we were structuring everything, I kind of took the front line as far as answering a lot of these questions, doing interviews like this. So it just kind of made sense at that point. But at some point, he's got grandkids now, like he'd like to probably focus a little bit more on that. So I'll be here full time. Absolutely.
All right. Some interesting dynamics behind the scenes, no doubt. That's cool. So you mentioned franchising. So you've been so successful now. You're going to franchise. And how many states are you approved to franchise in?
So we're approved for sale in 33 states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico.
Nice. And there's a few in the works you probably can't say about, but certainly have started, and there's definitely some interested parties.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have the restoration industry is a huge opportunity. I mean, it's a $210 billion industry. It's virtually recession proof. Our model, because of the number of services that we do provide, addresses a lot of the seasonality that some of the models that provide less services, suffer from or kind of experience a little bit. So we have a lot of opportunity there. So, we're very excited to see where we grow and expand going forward.
I was listening to another interview that you did, and you did mention that between you and your dad, you kind of identified issues in the restoration industry that were, now there are opportunities. And obviously, you just talked about like a huge one, and maybe that's the only one. But I realize you have some insight into the restoration industry. What other sort of problems have you fixed with your disaster blaster model?
Sure. So prior to founding his first restoration business, before we founded Disaster Blaster together, my father worked for the insurance claims industry. So he was actually at the end there. He was a claims manager in charge of 120 some claims offices. So he was very high up. He has a tremendous amount of experience with insurance claims. So one of the things that we looked at, of course, was the seasonality we wanted to address. We wanted to address there's a perception in the restoration space where, you kind of come in. There's a lot of companies out there. They'll come in, they'll do the water mitigation, and then they leave, and the homeowner is kind of left to figure it all out. They've got to find a contractor to do the repairs. If something comes up and plumbing repairs are necessary, or electrical work is necessary, or asbestos is discovered during the water mitigation, the homeowner is often left to figure those issues out. We felt that where the opportunity really lied in the restoration space is being a solution, a true solution to the property owners. So that's how we really ended up adding the services that we did, was because, it's difficult to find a company that does asbestos abatement, specifically asbestos abatement in residential properties, because they're smaller projects. They want large commercial and industrial projects generally. So we built our asbestos abatement services around those smaller projects, and it's been incredibly successful for us. That's really where we kind of, we wanted to address a lot of that, what the customer actually needs.
For sure. So really sounds like you're looking for a customer for life. Like, hey, we have all these other services. We're here for you. We're going to stand by you. We're going to take care of all these issues.
Yep. And we have customers that call us, every time something happens, and we're more than happy to help them with those issues. But we're more memorable too, because when they only have to remember one name, it makes it a lot simpler for everybody.
It's a good name too. Hey, if someone were interested in purchasing a franchise territory, do you have like a ballpark price on how that works?
So the all-in cost of a franchise, including the franchise fee, the equipment package, and the first 3 months essentially of operating capital, comes to about 136 to 242,000 approximately. We are eligible for an SBA loan, so we have partners that we can help get them situated with that. But we're considered a low-cost franchise. Because a lot of it is also able to be structured to what they're going to open with. So, for example, if they're going to launch with only 4 or 5 of our services, they can add additional services, next year or the following. We're very flexible with how we structure all of that.
Got it. And so, what kind of training does one get when they purchase a franchise?
So initially, they'll get training that we'll arrange through a training provider with the IICRC. So they'll have certification training in the restoration industry. And then once they complete that training, they're going to come to Scranton, Pennsylvania. So they'll get to see the home of the office. And here we'll take them through our marketing approach, estimating, project planning, project management, pretty much everything else they need to get started. And then I'll actually fly out there to help them get situated when they get their equipment package and they're ready to launch. And then we also do have a 4-month grand opening marketing campaign that launches with every franchise. We actually match the franchisee's contribution dollar for dollar. So they'll contribute $2,500 and they'll get $5,000 for that advertising.
Very nice. That's excellent. As we wind down, if someone is interested in this or they want to talk to you more, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
They can visit our website, disasterblasterfranchise.com, or they can give us a call at 302-242-1042.
That's awesome. Matthew, I really find your business intriguing. Love talking to you. Thanks so much for joining our show today.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Rainmaker for Contractors podcast, where basement waterproofing and foundation repair business owners and industry experts share marketing and sales information that helps you reach more customers. Please leave us a review on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform, and get all of our show notes at rainmakerforcontractors.com/podcast.